He's Jean-Jacques Taylor of ESPNDallas.com who joins us. How's morale in Dallas today?
Hey, it's a great day to tell your boss you ain't coming into work.
Really?
Oh, yeah, man. Cowboys win. It's all good. Cowboys be the good team. It's really all good. My kid's a Broncos fan because he doesn't know the Cowboys used to be a good team. I mean, that'll make Fritzy happy, but that's the truth.
How old is he, 20?
No, he's 10.
Oh, okay.
He knows nothing about the good old days around here.
All right, have you bought into the Cowboys?
I've bought in at 62.9%.
Okay. That's pretty high.
Well, yeah, and here's why. I was very skeptical until St. Louis. And the thing that turned it for me was they got down 21-0, and we've seen the Cowboys do this before, where Jason Garrett will go, hey, the game got away from us. We had to get back in it. We couldn't run the ball. And they become a team that throws it every down. Well, what happened against St. Louis was they're down 21-0, and they kept running the ball right away. And they scored a touchdown on the next drive. DeMarco Murray had a couple of big runs. And all of a sudden you could see that they believe that they're running. No matter what the score is, everything builds off the running game. And last night the thing that got me was, one, I was just shocked by the totality of the performance through the first three quarters. But it's not just the offensive line. If you look at Jason Witten and you look at Dez Bryant and you look at Dwayne Harris, one of their receivers, the way that they block, you're like, man, these dudes have bought into this, and they're spreading the ball around, and they're telling people, hey, you can take Dez and Witten away if you want to. We'll get back to him. We're not worried about it. And they're playing with a confidence I hadn't seen before. Now, they still got a raggedy defense. But you know what they're doing? The offense is playing so good that it's covering up some of the defensive flaws because teams are having to come from behind or have to deal. They're protecting them with their running game.
But you've had DeMarco Murray for a while now. I've said for the last couple of years with Tony Dungy on Football Night in America, I got to run DeMarco Murray. When he's healthy, I know he fumbles occasionally, but I do have somebody, a quality running back, who will make Romo even better because of play action. Why did it take this long for them to realize that you can have a balanced attack and that might help Romo?
I asked Jason Garrett that this during training camp when he kept talking about the running game, and he essentially said, even though the running game was successful last year, we didn't really trust it and we didn't believe in it. We just didn't believe in it, and that's because he didn't believe in all the guys up front. He didn't really believe that they could run the ball when they wanted to run it or when they needed to run it. And what Zach Martin did is he just added to the group. And he gave them 3 first-round picks in the last 4 years. And what you got to realize is Jerry Jones, since he bought the team in 1989, had never, ever used a first-round pick on an offensive lineman. Well, Jason Garrett got him to do it 3 times in 4 years. And Zach Martin is the guy who's a plug-and-play starter. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, that one guy gave them the confidence that now, okay, yeah, we believe in our offensive line. And the other thing is Scott Linehan. Now, we all knew him as a guy who threw the ball a lot in Detroit. But when he was with the Vikings, he ran it with Robert Smith. When he was with the Rams, he ran it with Steven Jackson. And DeMarco Murray told me last week, yeah, I've heard we were going to run the ball before, but this was the first time that the coordinator addressed the team and told us how important the running game was, not just the running backs coach, not just the line coach.
He's Jean-Jacques Taylor, ESPNDallas.com columnist, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Tony Romo's health from week 1 against the Niners to last night, market improvement, dramatic improvement?
No, it's a dramatic improvement, and it really occurred between weeks 2 and 3 against Tennessee and St. Louis. And here's what happened. They've been trying to manage his back deal and figure it out. That's why he missed a lot of practice in training camp. He didn't practice more than 2 days in a row. And I think they finally figured out that because of his back injury, he basically is like a relief pitcher. He's only got so many throws in his arm during the week, and you can use them during the week in practice, or you can use them at the game on Sunday. So they've been giving him Wednesdays off because that's the day when they install the running game and they work on their play-action pass. And he uses that time to get in the weight room, do his core work, do all these little fancy-dancy back exercises he's got. And then he works out Thursday and Friday when the passing game, the 2-minute, and then the red zone gets in. And the difference between his movement the last 2 weeks, let me tell you something, man. Against Tennessee, he was in the pocket, and the defensive end on the right crashed in. And I've seen Romo spin away 100,000 times on that move. Well, that guy snatched him and sacked him. And I was like, uh-oh, the season's done because he can't move. Mm-hmm. Very next week against St. Louis, he took that Wednesday off, and he looked like almost the regular Romo in the pocket in that game. He was moving. He was making guys miss. He was spinning. He was doing his little moves. And it was more the same last night.
Okay. Fact or fiction here, this whole drafting Manziel story that seems to, just when it's put to bed, Jerry somehow does an interview and brings it back to life. So how close were the Cowboys to taking Johnny Manziel instead of Martin?
Not at all. And here's the deal, man. Here's the deal. Number one, they wanted Ryan Shazier. They were crushed when Pittsburgh drafted Ryan Shazier. And as a Buckeye, I was somewhat disappointed. It's always good to have Buckeyes in the locker room. Number two, the biggest misnomer in sports is that Jerry wants to run the team and do everything. Jerry really doesn't. He just wants to know what's going on. If you have a head coach that's strong enough to tell him what to do, then he'll acquiesce to the head coach. If you're Wade Phillips or my buddy Dave Campo and you're just happy to have a job, then, yeah, Jerry will run over and take over. But if you're Bill Parcells, you're Jason Garrett, you got a plan of what you want to do, he'll let you do it. Now, if your plan doesn't work, you may get fired, but he'll let you do your plan.
Okay, so why is this story still there where Jerry said basically, his son had to pry the card out of his hand before they sent it up to the commissioner?
Oh, I think that was the writer took some liberties there. I think Jim Dent basically made that up. I think he took a story and took it to another level that Jerry is prone to hyperbole. And I think that was the case of somebody thinking hyperbole was the truth. But there wasn't anybody in the organization that wanted Manziel. Now, don't misunderstand. Jerry wanted Manziel because he's a marketing guy. Yeah. But he wasn't going to take him over the coach and the GM and the player personnel director and everybody else on the team who said, dude, we don't need that. He's just going to sit for 4 years behind Romo.
As a guy around the Cowboys covering them, how much of a story is what's happening to Jerry Jones off the field with him being sued by a stripper?
Not very much, and I think it's really because it's like 5 or 6 years old, and there's some dispute about whether the statute of limitations has gone out, and there just hasn't been much talk about it at all.
And well, you don't get that much access to him to be able to ask a question like that. And I don't even know if you had the access, would you ask him about that?
I think he was asked about it. We know Jerry likes to party. That's not really a big secret down here. But they didn't, I think because it was so long ago and the person who I believe was suing him was the person taking the pictures, that it just seemed more like a money grab than a real situation where you really need to say, Jerry, what's going on here?
All right, best case scenario for the Cowboys this year is what?
The best case scenario?
Realistic scenario.
Oh, okay. Realistic scenario? I was going to say, I think realistic, based on what we see and know right now, as long as they don't have any devastating injuries, realistically, they can go 10-6, which is, a couple games, 2 or 3 games better than I envisioned. And that's because when you look at the Eagles, the way they're running the ball, the Eagles can't stop the run. And so teams are going to have a hard time with them. Now, somebody will commit 10 guys to stop it, but that might be the day Dez goes 10 for 280 and 3 touchdowns. And so their commitment to running, and more importantly, and you know this about the game, it's about confidence and real belief in what you're doing, not just lip service. These dudes believe in their offense right now, and that's carrying their defense and everything else.
It's always good to talk to you, Jean-Jacques.
All right, my friend, it's been too long.
I know.
I'm glad they're doing well. You got a reason to talk to me.
Yes. Well, even if they weren't doing well, I'd have a reason to talk to you. When they start going south, I'll call you then, too.
Oh, all right. Check back next month then.
Thank you, brother.
All right,
Jean-Jacques Taylor, ESPNDallas.com.